To our top story this morning, that overnight train derailment in Scott County that ended with 2 trains crashing. A number of residents had to be evacuated, roadways shut down, and we've now learned multiple people have been injured. LEX 18's Steve Butera is live at the scene in Georgetown near Lyle Road. He has the very latest this morning.
Well, good morning, Kaylee. Yeah, the scene was off of Lyle Road, just outside of Georgetown. We were moved away out over here to a church parking lot here, and that's where right now the emergency responders are gathering here and assessing the damage. But to emphasize this morning, the situation could have been much worse. There were evacuations. The folks have since been brought back here, and now we have some updated numbers here. 8 locomotives involved in this derailment turned into a crash, and some 200 train cars. So it's going to take some time for everything to be cleaned up here, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, one thing that I want to emphasize this morning is that, as I mentioned, this could have been much worse. There was a moment where they thought there could have been some hazardous material. Turned out that was not the case, and now the process of cleaning up will begin later on this morning with the NTSB that will be involved here. This all happened around 11:15 last night off of Lyle Road, as I mentioned a little bit ago, involving these Norfolk Southern trains. I'm going to show you some new video we just got just a couple of minutes ago here. We were not able to get this video because of the dangerous situation that took place. Now, Lexington Fire says that one train derailed off the tracks around 11:15 last night, just off of a pasture. Not long after, a second train collided into that first one, the one that derailed, sparking a fire. Now, a liquid began leaking from one of the tankers, forcing the evacuation of dozens of people near Lyle Road who live nearby. We're going to hear from them in a little bit. Now, there were some questions, as I mentioned, if the material inside those tankers were toxic or not. Turns out it was just vegetable oil, so things were going to be okay. Now, as things begin to calm down here, the sheriff's office, along with Georgetown police, they had to take an abundance of caution here because they didn't know what else could be in those tankers. Here's what they had to say about that. Take a listen.
I think that the significance of this incident, we're very lucky that we have no fatalities at this point, and we were able to evacuate everyone safely.
Now, no homes were damaged. Again, just those trains. Again, there's a lot of trains and a lot of cars involved here. Again, those updated numbers, 8 locomotives and around 200 train cars involved. Again, 4 people injured from this derailment turned into a crash. All 4 of those people do have minor injuries. They were taken to area hospitals, and they were on the train at the time. No one who was living here, as far as who was inside their houses at the time, were hurt. There was no damage to their houses. It was just those trains. And we want to also mention that both engineers were also injured. Those of the 4 people that were involved that were hurt and taken to the hospital. 2 of them were the engineers. The NTSB, we're going to be investigating this case here. They're going to be brought out here later today and try to look to a cause into exactly what happened here in the first place. But now we're covering the news live in Georgetown and Scott County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Listen back over.